We want to live all together through every endeavor. How could I close your eyes for this world surrounding me? Tell me why to keep on rolling on eternally. But it makes me like no one ever wants. Give this a chance and show them all the good that's final song. Look at me, what exactly do you wanna be? Look at me, can you tell me what you wanna see? My heart breaks apart, however it hurts. I'm now more than any other. Look at me, can you see the one I try to be? Look at me, can you see the one I try to be? You look up, music through the night, cutting me. One is the greater side, the feeling that she's such a she's a fight, such a thief behind her, two places in life. Not like I would mind one more time. One thing to take this girl if you come over. So she said, are you fine? No, it's not everywhere. Look in the future, it's out of sight. For now, I'll try to stop breathing. I'll be thinking that before this was a little sound. With the shape of every heart, and the thoughts are to do just the love. Take my heart and put it on something that's really lost. I'm all will be born out there. See that once again, I'll be probably missing you. Okay.
Use a frag grenade. It's way easier because since they're piled up really close, you throw it at the it's gonna swap the fire. A good value on that.
This may hurt a little.
That cuts on fire somehow. And yeah, there's just one more enemy over here. Honestly, you can just grab the gold here and just run away. You don't even need to waste it once. But like going for all these treasures, it kind of made me feel just like sometimes you take out all the. What's it called now? And it's break these boxes. So it's a first aid spray here and 5 gunpowder, which again, another flashbang.
And yeah, cute. Significantly more powerful console than their previous Nintendo 64, capable of full motion video, more complex models, and it actually used discs this time. And aside from consumers getting excited for a new Smash Bros. Game with Luigi's Mansion, the GameCube caught the eye of game developers as well. Nintendo and Sega, two companies saw the GameCube hardware as an opportunity to lower costs for the creation of game cabinets. Despite their other game development efforts, Nintendo and Sega kept up a steady flow of arcade cabinets to the Dreamcast. So the two companies came together to propose the idea of working with Nintendo, and surprisingly, Nintendo agreed. The three-way partnership on this new arcade architecture was announced in 2002, appropriately named the Triforce Arcade Board. based on the symbol from the Zelda series representing different companies. Sega would handle the manufacture of the physical arcade hardware units. Namco took more of a lead on the software development side, and Nintendo mostly concerned themselves with the licensing of their properties and some quality control. Outside of that, they were still primarily focused on their home consoles and handhelds, so arcade development really wasn't on their mind. Games would begin trickling out using the Triforce board over the coming years. Virtua Striker 2002, F-Zero AX, and of course, the biggest use of this system was Mario Kart. Racing games have been a staple for arcades, but since Mario Kart didn't even exist when arcades were at their peak popularity, it seemed like a no-brainer to merge the two ideas into one. Mario Kart Arcade GP was the result of that idea. Being a nearly 20-year-old arcade cabinet, it would be hard-pressed to find
This dance is for you.
But through the power of and tweaking, you can experience this game today. With the Triforce board being essentially a modified GameCube, a modified version of the adult
I see everything.
that lets you play the various Triforce arcade games without having to shove the D to your house into your monitor. And in a similar vein, Arcade GP is itself a modified version of Mario Kart Double Dash. While this isn't exactly noticeable on first glance, some models, sound effects, and graphics are very clearly reflected. So you've got your run-of-the-mill Mario Kart characters here, your Marios and your Donkey Kongs. But because this game was developed by Namco, we get 3 special guests: Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and Luigi.
Losers didn't make it. I don't know if it's the Smash Bros. Effect, but there's just something about seeing Mario and Pac-Man next to each other that just makes sense. Even in this weird kart racing crossover, these two just don't look out of place together. After selecting a character on the actual arcade cabinet, you're prompted to take a photo of yourself, which you can then decorate with a few different cosmetics on top, and this picture is used in the game. But since we're doing that isn't going to work for us here. So instead, a render for the character we're playing as shows up instead. And then you can pick a game mode of either Versus, Grand Prix, or Time Trial. Versus mode is only available if there are other cabinets linked up to it, pitting up to 4 players against one another in races. Time Trial is obvious enough. Race through courses and try to set the fastest time. And then Grand Prix, where a majority of the gameplay tends to happen. This is similar to your standard Mario Kart Grand Prix mode, with different tracks divided up amongst different cups. But this is way later. So you have 4 races, but rather than being on totally different tracks, it's basically the same track, just slightly tweaked. It'll be something like one track has you turn this way, the next track has you turn this way, then the first track, but this one's at sunset, and the next one, but it's at night. This is just the same damn thing. All they did was move one of those Bob's Barricade things from the left to the right. That's how all of these Grand Prix are. And I get it, it's an arcade game, it's not meant to have diversity of content because you don't play for as long, but they could have done a little more. There are 5 different Grand Prix Cups, with a 6th unlockable cup after you complete the others. Mario Cup has Mario Highway and Mario Beach, definitely inspired by Mario Sunshine. DK Cup has DK Jungle and Banana Ruins, which is admittedly a pretty cool track. You can see some of DK's animal buddies running and flying around. It's a really cool. Mario Cup has Diamond City and Snowland, with the latter just randomly becoming a snowy area before returning to the city. Pac-Man Cup is definitely the coolest of the bunch. The first track is Pac Mountain, a race through a mountain found in Pac-Land starting in a village. And then there's Pac Labyrinth, where the race teleports to a giant arena matching the style of the Pac-Man arcade game. Bowser Cup has the tracks Bowser's Castle and Castle Wall, which are just 2 different routes at the very generic Bowser Castle. And what's a Mario Kart game without Rainbow Road? The Rainbow Cup features Rainbow Coaster, their unique spin on Rainbow Road, and Rainbow Downhill, which transports you to a track going downhill. Each cup is 4 races alternating between each form of the track, and you have to get first place in order to clear each race and move on to the next. If you get second or lower, no dice. You gotta cough up some more quarters and try again. Clearing the 4 races rewards you with an unlockable item. But wait, there's more. After the cup is cleared, you're offered a challenge. The challenges vary from cup to cup, collecting coins, hammering Koopas, pushing a giant watermelon. Successfully completing these challenges will give you a special item exclusive to the character that you're playing as. Now, despite the similarities to Double Dash, Arcade GP does control quite differently since it isn't designed around a controller. I would say half the time your cart is very easy to control, the turning is quite sensitive, so your cart can really get away from you if you aren't careful. The hardest part, I'd say, is mastering the sharp turns and drifting system that this game implements. Drifting involves tapping the brake and turning, but you don't have nearly as much control for it as other Mario Kart games. I found myself slamming
Thank you for completing today's commission.
It's really a skill to master, figuring out what to do approach a
Add
shift.
Astra.
Drifting also doesn't offer you mini turbos like you'd expect. Instead, during your drift, you get a little ship all around you, offering you protection from incoming items. And let me tell you, this game has items. There are over 100 different items that can be used during races, ranging from Mario Kart Classics to brand new ones created just for this game. You start with a bare bones number of items, but like I said before, you can unlock items to use with anyone and unlock special items that are unique to certain characters. Now, while all of this is kind of cool, every item really just falls into one of 8 categories. Items that can lock on and seek out an opponent in front of you, items that are thrown forward without a lock on, items that are thrown backward, items that can be thrown either forward or backward, items that stay on the track as a hazard, close range melee attack items that change properties of enemy carts, and other. And while a bunch of these items are definitely created, I feel like there's a ton of fat that can be trimmed with this item roster. Like there's the sticky oil, which makes an opponent's card harder to control. And then there's the tack, which makes an opponent's card harder to control. Like the game offers different explanations, but a lot of them just end up doing the same things anyway. Slow the card down, make it tougher to steer, cover the screen up, just simply hit you. These are all staples to Mario Kart, sure, but really you don't need so many duplicates if they're all doing the same thing. And the weirdest part is that each track limits the number of items to 3. At some points you get to choose these items, but a lot of times they're just preset for you, which makes having a ton of items feel both overwhelming and completely useless at the same time. And that's really a shame because the whole gameplay loop for this game is very cut to unlock more items, but when they mostly do the same thing as items you probably already have, it just feels like a fool's errand. Now you might be wondering, with all of this unlockable stuff, how do you access it when you're done playing? Enter the Mario Card. There were 2 types of cabinets for Arcade GP, one that had a card dispenser and reader, and one without. For an additional fee, the cabinet could spit out a card that reported your progress, and you could bring it back and scan it to keep everything you had unlocked and repeat the process. Kind of an innovative idea. When the Triforce board was being developed, the original thought was to utilize GameCube memory cards to save progress, with the added bonus of extra content that you could bring back home. But that didn't really go anywhere, so they came up with a Mario Kart instead. After completing the standard Grand Prix, you get the special Grand Prix, which is all the same custom tracks, but with a way harder CPU racers, with the reward of unlocking upgraded items. After special Grand Prix is 150cc mode, a faster version of the standard mode, with triple items unlocked instead. And finally, special 150cc mode, with more triple item unlocks and harder CPUs. Really, the only cool thing about any of these modes is that the first 2 races of each kind in special mode are played in reverse, as in you'd literally play these tracks backwards. It's pretty cool, and it's something that I always wish would show up in the home console versions of Mario Kart. Overall, Mario Kart Arcade GP does a decent job at being an arcade Mario Kart. It's definitely an experience worth playing a handful of times, but it's not anything you particularly play for hours on end. Especially given the era this game released, when you could go home and play Double Dash in the comfort of your home with your nice cushy GameCube controller. Man, that controller is just peak design, isn't it? And that brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Nixie, and their brand new Switch controller, the Nixie Wizard. The GameCube controller is often considered one of the greatest controllers ever made. So much so that every Nintendo console since the GameCube has had the ability to use it in some way. Well, Nixie is taking that to the next level with their Wizard controller, using the same layout as the GameCube controller, but fusing it with all of the features of the Switch Joy-Cons, minus the drift. The Wizard uses the Hall sensor, meaning you'll never have to worry about drifting. You can even swap out the shell on the analog stick, giving you the choice between the hexagonal GameCube style or the more modern, smooth analog style. You can even use it in handheld mode. Just slide it in your Switch like normal, and you're off running. But if standard TV mode is more your speed, this is also a great standard controller option as well. The buttons are nice and tactile, and you can really feel the build quality. There's even extra buttons on the back of the controller, able to be mapped to any button to increase your performance. So hit that link in the description and pick up a Wizard of your very own, available in the classic indigo, platinum, and black colors. Big thanks to Nixie for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back
There
to
is
Mario.
no escape.
Just 2 years after the release of Arcade GP,
Here comes the cat.
was released, Mario Kart Arcade GP
Busted.
2. But honestly, I think that 2
Who
is
is
pretty
one?
generous. This
Wait,
game basically
hear me.
boils down to being Arcade GP Plus, because it's literally just Arcade GP
Quietly
1
now.
with some additional content. Arcade
Fire
GP 2
hazard.
introduces 2 new characters, Waluigi and Obvious Choice, and Ultimates, Mamachi the Tamagotchi. Between the release of Arcade GP 1 and 2, the 2 Japanese companies, Bandai and Namco, merged into
Illusion
a
shattered.
you'll never get.
Torn to oblivion!
So, due to becoming one, they had access to a wider selection of properties. Because Bandai was a toy manufacturer, a lot of these wouldn't have worked great for a Mario crossover. But
There is
Tomodachi
no escape.
was sort of toy video game hybrid, so Amenchi doesn't
Busted.
really feel all
Things
too
are about to get dicey.
Like he's clearly the odd man out, but kind of in an endearing way. Added into the mix of unlockables this time
Swear by my
around,
sword.
brand new parts, one for each new racer. These carts basically boil down to slightly improved stats, offering higher top speed at the cost of slightly slower acceleration. New items are also found in this version of the game. The Grand Prix Cups are now organized by difficulty, increasing the challenge the further down the line you go. On top of that, there are two of the cups. The Yoshi Cup becomes the first
Animal
big cup,
hypostasis
which is on
in you?
par with the Pac-Man
Everyone
Cup
go
and
ahead.
Mario 2. The race
With
takes on
yourself
parts
a move.
of Yoshi's Island, that's sort of
Let's
pencil.
dance.
Yoshi Part 1 takes the race through the castle of Cake, filled with all kinds of baked goods, while Yoshi Part 2
I'll
takes
settle
the
this.
streets of Luigi's Mansion
Get
and
with me.
combines it with the art style of
Absorption
Yoshi's
test.
Island. The only downside is that the game
I
is
see everything.
it's literally just a sort of extreme line, but it's still fun to look at. The other cup is the Waluigi Cup, featuring Stadium Arena and Waluigi Stadium. This is your basic dirt bike style stadium, but I guess Waluigi is a big dinosaur guy, because there are
Let
robotic
the show
dinosaurs
begin.
everywhere.
Animal test
This
6308.
game also introduces
Stand
color
clear.
commentary, which fortunately you can mute before a race starts, because this guy does not stop talking.
Stop, Chico! Chase down the top. Give
Highway.
a chance. Move.
Throw an item, collect points, pass a racer, get passed by a racer, make a turn. Anything you do, this guy has got something to say. Literally nothing could be happening.
Shine down.
It's a calm race. Try playing more aggressively. What
Here comes the cat.
It's a cute feature. I wish it could be a little bit more sweet. Once again,
Feels
Mario
right.
Kart's people with this version of the game, so that sweet progress can be saved and replayed. All in all, this kind of just feels like DLC for the game. A couple of new tracks, characters, and some quality of life additions, but I wouldn't have called it a full sequel. If you're looking to play one of these two
Gotcha.
games on your own, I would skip one and just play two, honestly. Picking one would kind of be like playing Mario Kart 8 over 8 Deluxe. Like, yeah, it's fine to play that
Wind,
one, but
hear me.
playing it knowing you're playing the same game
Illusion
just with
shattered.
less stuff.
Game's up.
It would take
Time's
you
over.
6 years
Quietly
for a
now.
true
Fire
sequel
hazard.
finally released for the series. 2013 saw the release of Mario Kart Arcade GP Deluxe, a huge leap from GPs 1 and 2. This time around, it kind of
Scoop
decreased
the
the
ship
cycle
down.
instead of using more modern hardware than the others. Likewise, the actual
Busted.
engine seems a bit reworked.
Yours one.
It's only going to use Arcade GPs 1 and 2 as a reference, but the game doesn't seem to be a modified double dimension. Right away, you can tell the steering has really been worked on. While the previous entries were fairly decent to control, this game makes the experience even better. Steering isn't merely a sensitive
Dissipate.
so you feel
Out
like
of my
you're
way.
sliding all over the place. Drifting is much easier to control.
The
too.
Temple of
You don't crash
Wisdom.
into walls nearly as
Enhanced
often.
Animal
You
Module
actually do it for the
75.
rush, but
Absorption.
it's one
Help
choice this
protect
time, I
us.
promise. And drifting now actually offers immediate abilities.
Stand clear.
It's more obvious to the player. A small gauge appears when the drifting. The longer you hold the drift, the more levels you gain for the boost.
Dissipate.
Up to a maximum of 3 levels, and then you straighten out the wheel for the boost to take it.
Absorption
It just didn't
test.
feel like Mario Kart forgot how to make the song really got these feel. The lighting and underwater sections are here too, brought over from Mario Kart 7. The courses are adjusted to include these mechanics. But perhaps the biggest feature of this new upgrade is the implementation of downloadable content. These new machines have internet access, and over the years, GP Deluxe has received many updates. New characters, horses, vehicles, items. These were all gradually patched in.
Shine down. Things are
Overflow
about to get dicey.
My understanding is
Gotcha.
that most of these updates were released only for Japanese
Barbados. Guide
Actually,
us.
there are a handful of updates, but the most recent ones have only been
Now you shall
Which
perish.
is why the version of the game I'm playing is Japanese. In fact, as I was in the middle of making this video, it was announced by Nintendo for Summer 2023.
Quietly
It
now.
seems to be a bit more of a quality of life update than anything else. The fact that it's
Here comes the cat.
all after 10 years.
Illusion
mind-blowing.
shattered.
There are currently 20
Time for a light
characters in
show.
the roster of the game, with many returning and new. Pac-Man gets a disturbing redesign from Pac-Man and Ghostly Adventures, and most of the other characters use updated models from then recent Nintendo games. But the absolute highlight of this roster is yet another weird
Get with me.
Dungeon.
I see everything.
The main character Michael and Todd.
Make yourselves at home.
Like Pac-Man, these games
Let's
debuted in
do it.
arcades before seeing on console releases.
Stand clear.
And somehow racing has a
Absorption test.
magical living drum.
Lightning,
There's a real lot of plays in the Mario
Everyone
series.
hold here.
On top of this, multiple characters in the game have skins. These generally just serve as the same character, with the ability of using a different special item depending on the skin you use. For the most part, these are just basic recolors, like Fire Mario or a different colored Yoshi, but the coolest is definitely Bowser, your Eye Bowser skin. The number of cards and items has also been drastically increased as well. But the problem still exists, where the items really just feel like a bunch of reskins of the same handful of ideas. Depending on the settings for the cabinet, you can now pick your items for each race rather than the track having a preset selection. But a lot of the cabinets just end up being in quick play mode, where you'll end up with a randomly selected item for forward, backwards, and status, which really just highlights all the more how similar pretty much all of these items are. As far as the actual tracks in the game, it's kind of a mixed bag. Here are all of the cups found in GP Deluxe, and here are the ones that offer actual new content. Only 2 cups. The all-new Donkey Kong Cup follows the same theme as the tracks found in GP 1 and 2, but it has a different course layout. The Pac-Man Cup is also entirely new, with Pac-Man Stadium and Namco Circuit. Like the last games, the 2 tracks found in the cup are really just one track with alterations. Pac-Man Stadium is rather straightforward, a Pac-Man themed stadium. Namco Circuit, though, is a really cool variant of the track, filled with a bunch of different Namco game references outside of just Pac-Man, like Dig Dug or Galaga. There are quite a few cups that, on first glance, appear to feature on courses. And while that's kinda true, the actual track layouts all first appeared in previous games. They were just given new themes. The new Toad Cup is actually a rebranded Yoshi Cup from GP2. The Don-Chan Cup is the old DK Cup, and the Bowser Jr. Cup is a reworked Waluigi Cup. When you're playing all the games back to back, this does seem kind of lame. But when you actually play the games in the context they were designed for, short bursts in an arcade, you wouldn't even really notice it. Ideally, they would have given us some totally new track layouts, but I think redesigning old courses is totally valid. The Toad Cup features the courses Peach Castle and Kingdom Way. These are fairly generic Mario themed tracks.
Shine down.
Peach
Coming
Castle,
through.
and the other the Mushroom. The
Right
Don-Chan
now.
Cup is probably
Right
my
here.
favorite, with the tracks
Emerge.
Long Dance Street and Almost Circuit.
I see everything.
Long Dance Street places the race in the middle
Share
of
my
a big
knowledge.
festival, which has a really nice atmosphere.
Not
Almost
here,
Circuit
please.
Circuit takes place in the same location, but at daytime, and it veers off into a Japanese temple. The new
Right
Donkey
now.
Kong Cup really just uses the
Emerge.
same environment as its previous incarnation. Banana Labyrinth takes you through some riddles, while Deacon Jungle keeps you in the
Nothing
jungle.
lasts forever.
It's kind of an update, and since they already
Right
used
now.
the track layouts
Right
for the
here.
Don-Chan Cup, it makes sense that they would take the assets they already had and make all the track layouts. The Bowser Jr. Cup features Aerial Road and Sky Elite. The tracks for both of these are found on
Temple
top
of
of the
Wisdom.
airships from the Mario series, with racers using glide ramps, boost panels, and drive ramps.
Emerge. Right
While the
here.
layout is reused
Right
from the
now.
last games, the way this one pieces together a track up in the sky for multiple airships is really sick, especially considering the original track was just a generic stadium. On first glance, you wouldn't even be able to tell that these two were the same tracks. Oh, and the Mario Cup and Bowser Cup are also here, but outside of the graphical improvements, these are exactly the same. There are also some modes of
Busted. Game's up.
battle, which can
Fun's
play
over.
on teams and
Swirl,
works just like
Mark.
the awesome games. Which players team up to racing against two players on YouTube. Races happen like normal, but there are special items for the players. The Friendship Shield,
Time to
which
go.
gives teammates items for a short time, and the Fusion Card, which uses the two players into basically a giant tank.
Gotcha.
Meaning to double dash is co-op mode, with one player driving and one controlling the items, which
Things
are
are about to get
a number
dicey.
of green shells. Then there's green
Animal
shell.
test 63.
Mode that literally gives every player and finally, National Battle, exclusively for Japanese cabinets. This will have you race against players around the various regions of Japan. The long-term goal is to complete each region and earn points. Based on the player's performance, special content is unlocked. And I know I just spent a bunch of time criticizing this game, but once I actually start playing it, I just have a blast. The actual driving feels good, the tracks are all fun. to
Illusion
race,
shattered.
and I totally forget about
Emerge.
the item redundancy once I actually
Right here.
start playing the game. And the game also just looks fantastic.
Make yourselves at
Everything
home.
is so vibrant, and the diversity of
Everyone
environments
look in.
across the tracks just makes every
I'm
puzzle
always
feel
watching.
This game honestly
Emerge.
comes into Mario
Right now.
Kart 8
Right here.
fans, which is really saying something.
Shine down.
This is
Torn to oblivion.
For this entry of the game, the Mario Kart has been officially retired, and Namco instead implemented a universal card that works for all of their arcade games, the Banana Passport card. Has you ready to
Busted.
collect all of these scattered through the track. weapons, with bonuses
I'll
given
protect
depending on
it.
scoring too. Every digit
Absorption.
robot machine will activate the
That's
scan
not
that
right.
selects a randomly colored initiative.
Ready,
Inside that
steady,
is an
go!
unlockable item across the character.
Go! Animal test 63 of...
As far as I understand, this is pretty much Japanese exclusive. The cabin's
Just
found
quietly
in the
now.
mostly
Here comes the cat. Animal hypostasis.
I just didn't want to use the cat passport over here, which makes sense.
Wait a minute.
You can immediately fall out the that does not work well. And the final game in the arcade TV series, honestly, even calling games
Let's dance.
in recent years, Bandai Namco has
Gotcha.
made a big push with
Game's
VR
up.
arcade.
Fun's over.
Mario Kart was not exempt from this. 2017 saw the release of Mario Kart Arcade GBL, but really this feels more like a tech demo than an actual arcade game. There's only one course split into 3 sections based on previous arcade tracks. There are only 4 characters plus 2 CPU racers, and only 3 items total. Everything done by the player has to be physically done, so the action of throwing a shell involves doing
There is no
I personally never played it, but it looks like something I tried for one time to say that I played it, rather than something I keep going back to.
The Temple of Wisdom.
There's really a lot to say about this game, since it's
Shine down. Inazuma shines eternal.
Mario Kart Arcade. Everything about this little subsection of the Mario Kart series feels like one of those things.
There is no escape.
And you see the cabin down the line, you know,
Right here. Emerge. Right here. Nothing lasts forever.
Or you stumble across one.
Right now.
It's not something that I recommend playing for hours and hours. Seriously.
Are you happy with me? The more?
Busted.
Let me amuse myself
I'll protect us. Absorption. Here comes the cat. Come on. We can do it. Go. Cross over. Quietly now. Busted. Blink.
over here. Blink.
Ouch.
The merrier.
Game's up. Fun's over. Hi. Ow.
Look at me.
This body.
Okay. So, this one's titled, Overly Controlling Player Managed to Make Me Hate GMing as a Whole and Fear Running the Campaign in General. So I'm fairly
This
new to
makes
running
no
tabletop
sense.
games, and I chose a system I've been interested in for a while, called Lancer. Me and my roommate, who I'll refer to as Valor, both knew a fair bit about the system. So we got a few friends together to play. I chose to run one of the pre-written campaigns, though it didn't come with any maps. I had planned to draw them on my own, but Valor insisted to, as he was a game design major. The start of the campaign went over pretty well with a basic combat tutorial and the characters introducing themselves. Skip to 1 or 2 sessions later, and problems started to crop up. Another player, Iskander, was very new to this game, and needed her hand held a bit when it came to learning the system. That's fine, this is all of our first time actually playing, so I expected to give everyone a hand. However, Valor was very eager to help out Iskander at every opportunity, even talking over me when I tried to explain. Didn't act like this for anyone else, though, only when Iskander had a question. Oh, it gets a lot. By maybe session 5 or so, I had definitely gotten into the swing of things. I was less shy about the role-playing, spun the story to give players a bit of a chance to show off, and started 3D printing terrain pieces to give the map a bit more life. However, I still had a few slip-ups, and Valor was very quick to correct me on them, but only after I had realized and explained to the group, butting in with a quick, "Yeah, I knew that, and I meant to bring it up." By this point, I was also drawing my own maps, but Valor often had some quote-unquote suggestions, like how they had to be these 4 pieces of dangerous terrain here, and also getting mad at me for using dice to represent my enemies since I didn't print out any tokens. I think the last straw for me was shitting on the terrain pieces I tried to make, telling me that green wasn't a good color for outdoor terrain, and that I should have done gray instead. After that, I had more or less lost my enthusiasm for that campaign, and basically made up reasons why this next week's campaign had to be canceled. After a while, I decided to just put the whole thing on hiatus, saying I wasn't up to it, and almost immediately, Ballard tries to jump in, saying he could run the campaign instead, even though pretty much everyone agreed it would suck to have him leading the whole thing. After all that, he still tried to start a new campaign, though pretty much nobody wanted to play. If I do try again, I definitely don't want him in it. So, it's a lot, and everyone replying were pretty much saying you should just kick him out, like, don't, just start it again and don't bring him up, and I already have my opinion about it.
This evolved. Like, I feel like every D&D campaign has some type of evolution aspect to it. Like, whether you're starting out brand new or whether you're not, like, people just want to play D&D. So it's like, we're gonna make whatever works, guys.
It's not D&D, it's Lance.
But, like, I guess you can say for any game that you're passionate about, that you want people to play with, because it's like, people don't play with, like, this, let's play, let's make this work, right? So, with that in mind, like, the beginning, it's like, yeah, everybody's gonna play nice. It's always once people get too comfortable, and that's with everybody, and everybody seems to then, like, fall into slots of, like, okay, now this is how I'm gonna be the rest of the time, kind of thing. And it's gotten to the point where, like, I guess you could say the behaviors that weren't helpful to the campaign and more harmful to everybody else's comfortability in playing got to the point where, like, if they did try to correct it, it was, like, already too late. If you notice those types of behaviors fairly early on, you gotta address them sooner than later. So yeah, I'm kind of with people on the comments where it's like, you just gotta kick them out. Because if you try to talk to them about it at this point, it's just gonna be a bigger nightmare, a bigger problem. But let me tell you, that one individual, Homeboy's probably going through a lot in his life. Like, mind you, everybody else is probably stuff going on, but the clues are, A, the fact that he started really getting into, like, I guess you could say rules or micromanaging in a sense. But, like, the girl thing, right? Like, probably likes the chick, probably trying to show off. She probably doesn't interact with these people a lot outside of the game, I guess. And so this is, like, his only time to shine. But
Right.
even afterwards, usually when someone starts to micromanaging, it's A, they have impulsive behaviors that they may not be aware of. B, they are really excited, and that's how it manifests. Or C, like, they just don't have any control in their life, and so apparently this is the way they can control things. So, yeah.
Like the defender line.
If there's
Quietly
any
now.
micromanaging,
Here comes the catch.
Hey! And that can totally be in or out of game, honestly. So from,
Make yourselves at home. See? Go.
I would play this side.
Time to go.
First off, the OP was saying how the last straw was
Commit it to memory.
Busted. Yeah, and he mentions that Valor, the problem guy, or the problem child, is a game design major.
I see
So, like,
everything.
in making battle maps,
Sharing my
that's
knowledge.
kind of special. He knows
Things are about to get dicey.
election.
Yeah, it's the word. It's not just though, it's like knowing your boundaries.
Let's dance.
But they're like, this is roommate. And so kicking him out
Higher, pants on fire.
causes even more trouble. And it's still continuing that game with all the friends. You have to keep that in mind.
Quietly now.
And two,
Gotcha.
it sounds like OP didn't have any communication with him saying, hey, calm down. It seemed like he just let him run himself over and then just decided to be like, oh, he's ruined it, so, like, I'm done.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying in the beginning. Because it wasn't
Healthy
addressed
body,
in
healthy
you're
mind.
to the point where
Let's get down to business.
No touching.
okay, no conversation
For
forward.
Rex Lapis.
If anything, get your roommate move.
Let me
Like,
scry.
you
Decided
really
by
are
destiny.
not handle part of these things.
I swear by my sword.
Without having the drama that
Sakura
probably
swirl.
will ensue if he does kick him out. Like, getting a new roommate, move apartments, move states.
Access
I don't
denied.
know. Like,
Countries, continents.
just
Whirling
do whatever you want. Get your passport.
Delved into destiny. Written in the stars.
There's no need in this situation.
This is
They
long
should,
overdue.
Like, if they're good friends outside of the game, like, and have good relationships, and it's just in-game, all of a sudden, all the bad behaviors occur, like, I don't know what to say. That's just, oh, it's one of those things that happens.
There's a good saying where, in terms
My
of like
apologies.
role-playing games,
Yeah.
you may be good friends,
Shadows of
but
fate.
you may not be
Decided by destiny.
if that makes sense.
Embrace
like, you may
the
get along
ice.
as friends, but you may not get along as friends.
Wind,
That is
hear
something
me.
that always should be aware. You're starting to gain any friends. Like, I love one of my best friends.
Say no more.
When I ask him to play the game, no, it's like, no, we won't get along.
You know,
Very.
Don't play this game. But, like,
Blaze
you know,
over.
no, you're friends.
Born of ice and frost.
stand it before you get
Fate
into
is
the
upon you.
Playing these games, you get really invested in the story. And
Take flight.
things can happen in game which can damage.
Kamisato art.
Like, it-
Sumetsu.
We're just
Let me scry. Written in the stars. Access denied.
new friends.
I swear by my sword. This is long overdue. My apologies.
No, so I was, when I coached sports, I would always, if there was
Delve
some
into
kind of drama and somehow
No
that
touching.
got into playing into
Yeah.
the game,
Go as
or
planned.
practice even, I would take the whole team aside
Yeah.
and just be like, look, I don't care if your friends outside this game or not.
Born of ice and frost.
Or in the
Shadows
water,
of fate.
all of that's left behind.
Whirling snow.
And vice versa. Anything that happens in the game that might piss someone else off, you leave it in the water. It's kind of a back and forth thing of like, where are you going to leave certain things and not let it affect the rest of your life? So like, in game, if it's like, look, we're going to play this way, and if you get upset with me, you get upset with me, but leave it in the game. Don't try to bring it into real life, because, I hate to say it, at the end of the day, it's a game. But
Busted.
I love it.
Here comes the
And in
catch.
some ways, and I know a lot of people look at it as it is big
Everyone
life.
hold hands.
Ultimately,
The Temple
though,
of Wisdom.
it's a game, and you
Let
gotta
the
treat
show
it that way.
begin.
Sometimes you gotta take a step back and see what's reality and what's not. It's insane.
So, consensus
Ready,
here
steady, go.
is
Good luck.
Hey,
like
Quietly
anyone
now.
is the bad person here. They're just with no communication. My final
Busted.
say is if you are experiencing something like this, whether you're a dungeon master,
I see
or
everything.
player,
Make
or
yourselves
have
at home.
questions with
Things are about to get dicey.
Talk to them.
See?
Do not let it feel about even the littlest thing.
Time to go.
Otherwise, you end in this situation where you don't
I'll
want to play
protect
anymore.
us.
And
Come on, we
there's just
can
more
do it.
problems. Like for this person, I would almost
Grow.
You can either talk to your roommate or you just don't start the campaign against his friends. Because that's just going
The
to
Temple of Wisdom.
drama.
Everyone hold hands.
But if you're not even close to the roommate,
Gotcha.
you do what you want. But if you're not close to the roommate, you know.
Game's up. Fun's
Let
over.
one game determine if you're friends. Roommate! Alright, let's call roommate all shots fireball. On why spellcaster enemies should not share the same initiative count.
Hey.
Our party was running up
Quietly now.
who had a weapon he needed to get into the next
Let
area.
the show begin. Go, Barb.
But for doing more than our share of work. They haven't Every won the initiative, and the DM had all 5 mages act on the same initiative. Our party was pretty spread out, with a druid and wizard together in the center. While the cleric, bard, and fighter were on the place. The wizard
Access
banned
denied.
minions
For Rex
and healed off
Lapis.
by doing a little bit of damage
Let me
to every
scry.
frame.
Fate is upon you.
Wizard takes a few hints
Embrace the ice.
and all 5 evil wizards, maybe so
Barbados,
on the
guide
field,
us.
they cast Fireball on our druid and whisper. All of them
Delved
will
into
cast
destiny.
Fireball.
No touching.
Our wizard successfully
Take flight.
counterspells, but that's his one reaction. When the second wizard cast Fireball. The DM
This is
decided
long
that he saw
overdue.
the first one
Born of ice and
counterspell.
frost.
The wizard
Let me
failed
scribe.
to death
Written
save
in the
and
stars.
When the third Fireball,
Whirling
wizard
snow.
failed the death save. Don't Fireball in the same spot.
Yeah.
Wizard takes the second death save. And the druid is down despite his fire resistance. What does the DM have to
Shadows of
wizard
fate.
do now that both targets are unconscious? He casts Fireball on
Access
the
denied.
same spot. The wizard has taken 4 fireballs
I swear by my sword.
32 d6. And is
Delved
then
into
before the
destiny.
players have a chance
Fate
to
is
act.
upon you.
There is nothing
touching.
he could have done to prevent
Kamisato
it
art.
once he rolled initiative.
Sometsu.
At this point, the wizard player says that's pretty shitty of the DM, especially since the cleric and bard will also group together
Born of
and
ice
are
and
equal
frost.
threats.
Blaze over. Shadows of fate. Go explain. My
The
apologies.
bard got surrounded by bandit minions at the start of the next
Embrace
round
the
and
ice.
got similar hit by
Decided by destiny.
on the wizard's turn. Also killed
Let me
all
scribe.
damage. The third cone of cold rolled 50 plus damage.
No
and the
touching.
bard suffers instant death.
Ha!
The cleric had 130
Barbados, guide us.
Sorry. The cleric had 300 GP.
Delved into destiny.
And after a lot of coming and trying, choosing
Fate
to
is
survive
upon
the
you.
fall. In my opinion,
Access
that's
denied.
the opposition from player to player. It's a great part of it.
For Rex Lapis.
The wizard also did not have any diamond components on it. The wizard folk had 2 years of character growth wiped out in
Whirling
zero
snow.
and was extremely pissed. He cursed up to the airport
Kamisato
and
art.
got up and left for
Sometsu.
the day. The next second, he came back with a disruptive drill character.
Shadows of fate. Written in the stars.
That should have been
Take
a
flight.
mixture of MIB whole and petty revenge.
A lot of people in the comments are saying, I'm surprised that the wizard player came back.
If you've been playing for 2 years, you're going off of whatever you guys set for your expectations for the game 2 years ago. For example, if you guys decide to
Take it
do
easy.
permadeath, you're gonna do permadeath, and you need to make sure that you remember that and not get quote unquote
Busted.
to your players,
Everyone hold hands.
or to your
Make yourselves at home.
to your players. Yeah.
On
Oh boy. Anyway,
Ready,
your characters,
steady,
right?
go.
Like I do love all my characters.
Quietly now.
I've created.
Here
They're
comes
so
the
fun. I
catch.
have tons of different backstories. And I'm like, look, these characters or I'm not, or for a certain period of time, it's fun. Like, it's like learn how to separate getting emotionally into a task because that's what then causes problems.
Gotcha.
Is then you get extremely butthurt to the point where you get
Things
pissed
are
at
about to
the
get
end,
dicey.
and everybody else is like, why don't you understand? I love this character so much. Great. Like, what do you think all book writers in the world felt when they killed off their characters?
Higher, higher, hands on fire.
It's one of those things where it's like, look, it's a part of the game. If you guys said permanent, you guys said permanent. Explain to them, like, going into a battle against a bunch of mages, like, I'm not going to say what you expect because you really this is a DM aspect, I'm not a DM, wouldn't know, but I wouldn't assume my DM's going to just hit it all with
Here comes the
all.
catch.
Knowing what fire all does, no one just does fire, right? It's a tune. It is a beam, but it is a freaking powerful spell. It's kind of a good joke sometimes. So, like,
Protect us.
it's not unexpected. Yeah, again, as far as players go, like,
The Temple of Wisdom.
props to the guy for showing back up. But I understand where it's like, look, I'm a little pissed, and so I'm going to cause what do you think? Kind of cause damage for us, but they're protected. But I think it's very good to be like, I'm still going to show up, still want to play, I needed my time to calm down. Because like, the acted or how all of them acted it's not like it was uncalled for. It's just one of those things, like when you're so heated into the game, like in Mario Kart, you know? I don't care who you
Your journey
are.
ends here.
If you
Lord
can
of
Delved into destiny.
Your
Swear by my sword.
I don't care.
My
So, like,
apologies.
right, but then the next day I'm
This
gonna
is
be like,
long overdue.
okay, cool. Like, if it was actually
Fate is
good,
upon you.
I might apologize or whatever, like.
Whirling snow! Embrace the ice!
But even still, like, if I were actually genuinely get upset, I'd probably come back around and be like, that was childish. I'm sorry. It was heat of moment in my emotions, right? So, it's just one of those things. But as far as the
Barbados,
end goes,
guide us. Let me scribe.
Putting
No touching.
all the initiative out the same turn for every roll.
Commissar Duarte. Samantha, decided by destiny. Glaze over.
It's really slow.
Dance with me.
Again, I'm going to play here.
Born of icy
Party.
delved into destiny.
Again, they might be a bunch of
Take flight.
people and the DM have
Sakura swirl.
there's that, but we're playing Death Battle.
Leave my space. Written in the stars.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He had
My
the fireballs
apologies.
that kill everyone.
Wind, hear me.
On top of that, he gave
Who is
them
blind
so
yet?
many
This is
people
long
to
overdue.
kill everyone at the same time.
No touching.
When the first fireball got counterspelled, it was like, oh yeah, so this other one like
Whirling snow. Fate is upon you.
I'm gonna get a little bit of logistical here. Okay, counterspell happens immediately.
Access
Like,
denied.
it is snapping your fingers like this. The DMs.
Let me scribe.
Oh, the other one saw
Take
that
flight.
and uplifts the other fire spell. You were so close. He knew, this Dungeon Master knew what he was doing, and especially saying like, yeah, these guys aren't messing around. That just means the DM is like just wanting to kill some characters right now.
Maybe
Like he
he
just
wanted-
doesn't care.
maybe he wanted to end the campaign.
Maybe he wanted to end the campaign.
Maybe
Who knows?
he might have been it was 2 years. He might have been the forever DM at that point, and he
Right.
might have been tired of it and been like, I need to kill everybody before time. Right.
Right. So like, obviously, wasn't cool that this happened.
Yeah,
And again,
no.
we don't know a lot of the rules set beforehand, so that's kind of the hard part. But in this situation, yeah, the Dungeon Master definitely knew what he was doing and definitely took it out on the players, and just wanted to go. He